Well, hello. Welcome to my day 3 of energy leadership. How not to blank your family. So the whole reason why I started this whole project is because one morning when I was checking my email and this email came through and it was titled How Not to Kill Your Family. And I think many of us can relate to that because ever since the safer at home order that came out after the coronavirus, we're sitting at home and there's an enormous amount of time that we're spending with our family. And sometimes, depending on if our triggers get pushed or our button get pushed, then we have a different response to them. And sometimes those responses may not be so pretty. So I opened that email and I remember I was reading the title. It read, How Not to Kill Your Family or Your Spouse. So I thought that was pretty funny. And I wanted to bring this to you because I actually have the tool that you can look at this from a different perspective. So I kind of figured usually this is my 1 hour talk or sometime even 2 day workshop. But I figured, we have all the time in the world right now. Why not bring it to you in front of your computer that you can put it up on your social media and you can just watch it for free. So I'm Michelle. I'm a confident coach who helps negative self-talkers to become the most confident person in the room. So many of you have been following me for quite some time. So you have seen my progress from my first video to all the videos that I've been shooting lately, where you can see that how that confidence start to really showing up. And this is all because when I first started to work on this negative self-talk, it made me realize that how much fear was driving my life. And once I start putting into control, I started to cultivate that sense of self-confidence. And self-confidence is the new sexy. I think we all agree. So today is my day 3 of how not to blank your family, the energy leadership. And what, if you remember from two days ago, where I have shared with you what energy means, what leadership means, and if you need to go back and watch the replay, I would invite you to go ahead and start watching the replay. And I will also have these video be available to you via YouTube. So you can follow me on YouTube. If you go to the YouTube and search under my name, Michelle Quay, last name is Kuei, and you can find me on YouTube. And all these videos will be available to you on YouTube. Or you can just simply tune into my Facebook and it will be available to you on Facebook. If you haven't already done so, make sure you follow me so you don't miss any of my videos. So today I am going to share my screen with you, first of all, so that you can join the party. So again, our topic today is how not to blank your family. And I remember, ever since the Safer at Home started, and I do most of my business here remotely at home. And my parents live with me, and many times I have to close my door because there's just too much noise going on. So, what kind of background are you playing in your house during your on-call meeting? Perhaps those are the moments that this would be very useful because it would provide you with a different perspective of how you respond to that situation. So, as you can remember, probably from my 2 days ago, I shared this amazing, colorful chart. It's called Energy Self Perception Chart. And I did not come up with this idea. It's actually developed by Bruce Schneider, the iPad coaching founder. He came up with the whole energy leadership. And if you haven't already done so, I would highly recommend his book, Energy Leadership, that it has tons and great information. And all the material that I will be sharing here are actually in the book. So if you like, you can just, if you're not a book reader, if you don't like too many words, then this is a great place. You're in the right place. So keep watching. So on this chart, you'll notice, again, just a reminder, the chart reads from left to right, and you'll see on the top, core thoughts, core emotion, and action or result. So depending on your thoughts, what kind of thinking do you have? And when you have that thinking, what kind of emotion is coming up for you? You may have a different action, and that action will actually lead to a different result for you, whether it's working for you or it could be working against you. So By understanding our thoughts and by understanding our emotion, when they're tied together, we can have a different outcome and taking different action. That action can potentially lead to more success. So today we're going to focus on, and by the way, I call this is the tea method. So, you got to look into your tea. Have a cup of tea, TEA, thought, emotion, and action. So it's your cup of tea. Remember that. So today I wanted to focus primarily on the first level. So if you're looking on the chart, in the very center on that red circle dot, that is the lowest level of energy. And as you remember yesterday, I had covered it, and it's called catabolic energy. So level 1 and 2 that you see in the center of the circle are known as catabolic energy. And with catabolic energy, level 1 is at its deepest thinking and emotion, where you may feel being the victim of an event. When you have that warrior lens, and I shared this weeks ago when we first had the safer at home order. And when you wear these warrior lens, it's first of all, it's very catabolic. It's the victim thinking, and many times this thinking, this lens is associated with guilt. It's associated with worry. It's also associated with fear. And what that brings up is a lot of self-doubt. There's low confidence. And oftentimes, people who are spending a lot of time in this warrior lens, they may feel that there's no choice. Life has no choice or options. So many times, client will come to me and they say, Michelle, I'm feeling stuck. And typically, that's where they're at. They're at their warrior lens and they feel really stuck. And when you're feeling stuck, chances are you're not going to take any actions. So, have you ever had that feeling where you wake up in the morning and you just feel so shitty that you don't want to get up and do anything? And everything, all the emotion that you carry is this fear, this self-doubt, this worry, and you just don't feel that, you don't believe that you have the power in doing anything. And I love to use the word power because many times people who wear these warrior lens don't have enough power. They feel drained. Some of the internal message that you can hear and people associate it with the warrior lens is, I'm overwhelmed. And life is very overwhelming. So if we continue to stay in this warrior lens, it makes perfect sense why we would feel overwhelmed. And there's also a constant weight on my shoulder. So those who spend a lot of time in warrior lens, they would describe their life as, there's constant weight on my shoulder. I have so much responsibility. This world is upon my shoulder and just heavy. It's unbearable sometimes. Another internal message is, maybe this is not for me. So, for example, a new business owner or someone who's at the start or beginning of your career, you may bump into obstacles or roadblocks, and you may think that maybe this is just not for me. Maybe, things is not working out because I'm just not made for this business. So that's another internal message that you can commonly hear when people are wearing the warrior lens. Other internal message would be, I can't decide. And again, this is where a lot of my clients will come to me and then say, Michelle, I'm stuck and I just can't decide because they're so overwhelmed, and that's blocking them from their ability to see the clarity that they need. So another internal message would be, I can't decide, because they're stuck. And when you have these feelings, when you have these thoughts, and when you're putting on your warrior lens, the behavior, the action that you typically take is that you don't want to confront anybody. If you're in a conflict situation, if you need to stand up and fight for yourself, you might be thinking, I can't fight. I'm not strong enough. I'm not good enough. How can I possibly fight? So instead of taking action in protecting yourself and fighting yourself, you don't want to confront anybody. You rather just continue wearing that warrior lens and just not do anything with it. So that's one possible way of how someone wearing the warrior lens may show up. Or another one would be avoidance. Like, how many of us can actually relate to that, right? When you're in fear, when you worry, chances are you want to avoid anything that's discomfort and anything that would create pain and suffering. We just want to avoid it. Fear is something that's so unpleasant. We just want to push it away. So if if you put on the warrior lens, chances are there's part of you want to push out that unpleasant feeling that you have, or avoiding it. So moving on to the next slide. So how does this, I mean, this is a great concept, right? But how is it relating to you or to myself? So how does the warrior lens show up in my life? Let me give you some examples. So as many of you know, that I went through that period of, transforming from being the victim of a car accident when I was 11 years old, and going through that journey, it took me 30 years to break away from my own victim mentality. It took me that many years to actually realize that I am not a victim. But during that period of time, I was just living as a victim. It happened to me, and it only happened to me, right? It doesn't happen to anyone else. I mean, I look around, everyone else seems to be normal. Like, why is it me? So I was the victim of my own event. I create a lot of stories, and even like my friends would tell you, like sometimes, I make up these stories about how that person would be seeing me. It's all coming out of my head. Has it happened? Probably not, maybe not. And that's how I felt. I felt that everyone look at me very differently. They look at me funny. And chances are they don't take me very seriously because I'm so short. Like, you look around, most of the authoritative people, they're average height 5'6", 5'4". And when you look down to me, they're really literally looking down to me. So how can they possibly take me seriously because I'm short? And am I the only person experiencing this? Like, there are many times when this warrior lens showed up for me, I was thinking I am the only person experiencing these. And I felt so embarrassed, so embarrassed every time I go out to shop and anything. I remember through my high school year, I used to buy these really baggy clothes. So I would wear, t-shirt that's like in size up, a size bigger, so that I can hide my body in it. So I felt really embarrassed when I was wearing tighter clothes. Now I feel comfortable. I'm gonna wear whatever I want. So this is how the warrior lens has showed up for me. You can pick up from all these words that I used to use, like, the victim, and I don't people don't take me seriously because I'm short, and I'm the only person experiencing this big challenge, and I feel embarrassed. It's very negative. It's almost like I'm putting a box around myself and I'm boxing myself in. So that's how the warrior lens has shown up for me. Now my question to you is, how might this warrior lens showed up in your life? Perhaps, from the weeks ago when I first shared my post, perhaps you're looking at this whole situation as, oh my gosh, life sucks. I can't believe this is happening to me. Like, why am I the only person picking up all the dirty laundries in the house? Or, oh no, I just lost another client because of this safer at home order. I'm screwed for the rest of the year. So there's a lot of that internal message that I was sharing with you earlier. Um, that include, I'm overwhelmed, there's a constant weight on my shoulder, and maybe this is not for me, and I'm stuck, I just can't decide. So how might this warrior lens show up for you? If you kindly put it in the comments, I would love to hear. Or if you feel more comfortable, shoot me a private message and I would love to hear, how does this warrior lens show up for you? So what do you do when you have these warrior lens? I mean, I don't want to just be here and throwing you a concept and not tell you what to do with it, right? I mean, that wouldn't be right, and that doesn't feel right to me. So I'm going to tell you like exactly what to do when you have these warrior lens. So one of the things that's very, very effective is creating that awareness. And I can't stress it enough, is by creating your awareness around your thoughts and your emotion. Like, for example, what are you feeling today? What are you feeling today? And notice I didn't use how are you feeling, because if I were to ask you, how are you feeling? Chances are you're going to say, oh, I'm fine. Yeah, that's usually how people in the warrior lands would answer you. Oh, I'm fine. I'm okay. So ask yourself, what is it that you're feeling? And if you can, that this is something I encourage, especially all these women who's training through my public speaking training class. I encourage everyone to get into your body. So if you can, where are you feeling this in your body? Can you identify, is it the chest? Are you feeling the tightness in your chest? Are you feeling, your shoulder is hurting? Like, where is it? Where is this feeling? So the more that you become aware of your own thoughts and your own emotion, you'll be able to catch them. So every time your negative self-talk comes up, you'll be able to catch it immediately. And it's kind of like, working out in a fitness in a gym. The more you work on a particular muscle, chances are that muscle will strengthen, will be stronger. So the more that we are able to catch those thoughts, those negative thoughts or negative talk, the better we get in eliminating it. So you don't need to force yourself in thinking positively. You can actually exercise those muscles so it becomes your default system. So everything that event happen, you don't spend as much time in that warrior lens anymore. So you gotta practice and use that muscle. The next thing I will share is that if you typically enjoy any activity, anything. And I hate to put the meditate on that slide, because I think a lot of time when people share these tips with you, what do you do when you feel negative? Oh, you just go to meditate. Well, you might not be able to relate to meditate. So if meditation is not for you, skip that. Don't throw that out of the door. Do something that you enjoy doing. So maybe it's gardening, maybe it's cooking. I see a lot of people start picking up cooking because they're following the safer at home order. So I see a lot of people doing the cooking. Maybe it's painting, maybe it's something that's very creative. So do more of that. Also, as I mentioned earlier, it's kind of like it's important for you to pinpoint where it is and put your body in motion. I think many of us, we have that thought and have that feeling. We don't identify it, like, where is it showing up? And when you don't identify it, just kind of sitting in your body. It's there, it's heavy. Some of my clients would describe like their anxiety is in their stomach. And when they feel anxious, it's in their stomach, and their stomach will be growling and making a lot of noise. And they know that that's where the anxiety is. So when you start associating some of these emotion and thoughts to a body area of your body, what happens is when your body starts telling you and having this feeling, your mind starts to pick up that signal and they say, oh, I'm feeling a little anxious, and let me breathe into it and pamper it just like I would with a kid or pet. And when you start doing that, you'll notice that your anxiety will start back down. Maybe not to zero, right? But at least it's something somewhere that's manageable. Journaling is something that a lot of people would also recommend. If that works for you, great. But definitely take your body into motion. Go for a walk, go run, go hike. Put your body into motion so that you're not constantly sitting there and feeling this warrior lens. Call a friend or family member. If you have to vent or cry, do that. Find someone that you trust, who's in your circle, who's in your tribe. And you can always come to me. I'm available. But call someone that you trust and go to them and vent and tell them how you're feeling. So if you're interested to learn more, tomorrow I'm going to move on to the next level, which is level 2. the anger lens or the conflict lens. And there's a lot of anger and conflict right now. So don't get too excited. Or do get excited because it's coming up tomorrow. In case you wanted to learn more, you can always go to my website. It's Energy Leadership Index Assessment at elevatelifecoaching.org at energy leadership. And if you like, I clear out my calendar for tomorrow on Sunday. You're welcome to schedule a call with me and just jump on a call and let me know how this warrior lens is affecting your life and stopping you from seeing the things that you have the choices. So perhaps it's clouding your decision. You need some clarity call. That's where you can find me, elevatelifecoaching.org. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and follow me on Instagram at Elevate Life Coach, and you can always find me on Facebook. And until tomorrow, have a great day.